Hi, I often talk about the value of running experimental tests to better understand how a material behaves. And it's also important to run the same experiment multiple times to see the repeatability of an experiment and perhaps use that in a better way. The question I never really answered precisely is how many repeated experiments should one test? How much improvement can you expect by running, say, 3 repeated experiments versus 2 versus 5 and things like that? It turns out you can analyze this in a statistical way and come up with very clear answers to these questions. And that's what I will talk about today in this video. So the way I'm doing it is I'm going to do a hypothetical case where I have a experiment which is being a tension test in some sense. You can think of it, but it could be any other test. I deform the specimen to a certain strain level and I measure the stress at that point. For numerical reasons and statistical reasons, I'm going to assume that the stress at that point is 1. So I'm normalizing the stress basically to be 1 there. And then I'm going to assume that if I repeat this experiment multiple times, due to many reasons, I will not get exactly the same stress value. There will be a distribution of values that I will assume to be normal distributed around that average value. And then finally, I will assume for my study that there is a standard deviation around that mean according to normal distribution. And I'm going to use a standard deviation of 0.1 where the absolute stress value is 1. So 10% variability according to the standard deviation. That's kind of the baseline that I will use in my little study here. And I'm going to perform 100,000 repeated numerical experiments according to this, normal distribution of variability. And so here's a little bit of code that I wrote in Python that performs this study. I basically randomly generate 100,000 stress values according to this normal distribution that we just talked about. I can then calculate the mean value from this distribution. Of course, the mean should be very similar to what I specified it to be, because that's the whole point. I can also calculate what standard deviation I end up getting with this normal distribution. Again, that should be exactly or very close to the value that I prescribed. And then what I can do, which is more of an interesting point here, I can calculate what the expected absolute error to be. So the mean absolute error, the difference between the numerical stress and the prescribed stress, and I take the absolute value of that and the mean of that for all these 100,000 experiments. That gives me a flavor for how close can I expect the error to be relative to the standard deviation. So that's the Python code for my first example. I'm going to run this Python code here by simply just typing in the name of the file and then press enter. And we'll see that 100,000 experiments, we get a standard value, average error that is very, very small. It's pretty much close to 1 as we expected. The standard deviation is very, very close to 0.1 as well. And I get an average mean absolute error that is about 0.08. So the expected mean absolute error when you have this distribution is about 80% of the standard deviation of the actual experiment. And that's good to kind of have a flavor for how much error you can expect if you do one single experiment. Then the most likely mean absolute error of that experiment compared to the true value would be about 80%, so 0.08 of that value. 8% that is. All right, but we can do more studies. We can look at other things. So let's take a look at some other scenarios. So I performed the study number 2 where I did 2 experiments, and I did 2 experiments with them, and then I took the average of those 2 experiments. And again, I performed this. In this case, I did 100,000 repetitions, and it turns out that if you take the average of 2 experiments, when the experiments are normally distributed like I talked about, then you can expect an error that is about 5.6% in this case. Remember that the standard deviation is about 10%, and the expected error when you do 2 experiments is 5.6%. If you use the one experiment, we got an error of 8%. So it goes down from 8% to 5.6%, the mean absolute error that you can expect in this case. So that's the average of 2 experiments. But if you do an average of 3 experiments, the code is listed here, but it's very similar to what I've done before in the first example. And if you run this 100,000 times, you get an average error by taking the average of 3 experiments. The average error, the expected error you would get would be 4.6%. So the more repeated experiments you perform, you obviously going to get a better answer compared to what the true answer is, because you take the average and then the variability will cancel out when you do the average. So this is, of course, the reason why you would do multiple repeated experiments. But we can see that the improvement is relatively slow, going from 2 to 3 repeated experiments. And I will summarize this in the end here. But how about if we do the median of 3 experiments? So you run 3 experiments, and then in the end you say, well, I'm not going to take the average of these experiments. You're going to do the median curve. And this is something that people sometimes argue, like, well, I have 3 curves. Instead of calculating the average of them, I'm just going to take the one in the middle. And then I've used that argument myself. It turns out, and this is no surprise, that if you take the median curve of the 3, it's not going to be as accurate as taking the average of the 3. The error in this case you can expect to be about 5.3%. And lastly here, if you do 5 experiments, you repeat the same experiment 5 times, you take the average of all 5 these experiments, the error goes down to about 3.5% of the data. So here's the summary. If you do 1 experiment, you can expect the error on sort of an average way to be the mean absolute difference error, but to be 80% of the standard deviation of the experimental data. And then it gets better the more experiments you perform and you take the average of them. But we see that the improvement is relatively small. Another way to say it, though, if you do 2 experiments, you can expect the experimental error to go down by 30% compared to just doing 1 experiment. If you do 3 experiments, you take the average of these 3, you can expect the error to go down about 43%. So that's not bad, but remember, 3 experiments takes 3 times more time than running 1 experiment. And same for 5 here, we get the even more significant reduction compared to 1 experiment. So what one should you want to do here? The conclusion in my mind is all of this is relative to the standard deviation of the experimental data. If your experiments are very precise and you have, say, 2% error from experiment to experiment, so the standard deviation of the experimental test is very small, there is really not that much reason to do many repeated tests. If the standard deviation of the experiments is 10%, like in my example here, doing 2 repeated tests, you reduce that error, the experimental error, because you only did 2 experiments. You don't know exactly what it is. You reduce that by 30% compared to running 1 experiment, which could be valuable and perhaps worth the time. It's up to you to decide, obviously, in the end, which of these you want to use. And finally, the median curve is, the median of 3 experiments is about as accurate as the average of 2. So taking the median perhaps is not such a good idea from the accuracy viewpoint compared to taking the average. What you should remember, though, if you do any of these, you can always put all the experiments that you perform into M-calibration. M-calibration lets you calibrate the material model to the data very accurately, and you can also in M-calibration calculate an average of multiple tests if you like, and M-calibration can also help you decide which one is the median curve if you want to use that approach. But this is really what it comes down to, the expected improvement in the error, experimental error, if you do repeated experiments. And the improvements are actually not that substantial if your errors are small. If the errors are large, they may be valuable to do multiple experiments to reduce this. If you have any questions on any of this, you can ask them below.